Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. I am JayBee, and joining me, as always, is Mark Marsh.
Hey everybody.
So I apologize if my voice is sounding completely awful. I don't know what I've got, but I've got something. But we are back to discuss some more Scooby-Doo things. Now, there's been a trend, and I don't want to call it one that's caught on particularly, but we've got the Marvel What If TV show based off the comic book series. And I saw on Twitter or X or whatever they're calling it now that they're thinking about doing one for Star Wars. And as a concept, I think What If is quite exciting. You know, you can explore a multiverse without making it all about cameos. You can just explore different avenues and different nuances of different characters, even a little bit like what the new Scott Pilgrim series did. So I'm thinking I would actually really like to see a What If version of Scooby-Doo. And so, Mark, I'll pass on to you. What type of storylines do you think they could come up with if they did that
Yes,
type of
big one. What if there was no Scooby-Doo?
oh, as in like
Yeah,
in that universe,
in that
or if
universe, there
no
was no
Scooby-Doo?
Scooby-Doo.
Oh, see, that would be a curious
That would
one.
be because it's like, do you get rid of just the dog, or do you get rid of the dynamic duo, Shaggy and Scooby, or do you get rid of the gang entirely? There's like three possible options where you could probably like three episodes out of that. Like, imagine if there was no Mystery Inc. There was nothing. You just saw it from the villain's perspective. It's like a universe where there was no Mystery Inc. gang stopping these criminals running amok. Or to be one without Shaggy or Scooby, so they ain't got no decoys. How would the Fred, Daphne, and Velma duo manage with substitutes?
See, I like that from multiple levels. Now, I'm not a great fan of removing any one particular character necessarily, but in the context of What If, I think it would be quite a good character study on how each member of the gang are important. Like, what would removing one of them from, say, a pre-established story do, and the knock-on effects of that? I think that's really cool. It reminds me of that Doctor Who episode, Turn Left, where for all the villains' plans aren't like world-changing or anything, maybe they could put set it in like one of the live-action universes or something.
Or
But like everything, you just see everything going
the
wild.
live action one with Scrappy Doo. What if Scrappy Doo won
See, that was
in the
on one of
movies?
mine. Like, what
Yeah,
if that plan succeeded?
yeah.
Because that would be such a wild storyline. And because this, I mean, we don't know what format this would take. We're assuming it's animated. Based on the thing that we're spinning off of, people are a little bit like, what are Scooby-Doo like? When are we going to see people returning? Why are we having controversy over actors being replaced? If it's based on that, you could 1,000,000% see some of that live action cast reprising their roles for that one story. I think that would be really cool. Because what if Scrappy won? I mean, I don't know when they would frame that. Because I think a lot of the intrigue for that would be the effects on the wider world. And I just think that that would be really awesome to see. Maybe a bit adult though, because just imagining everyone like getting possessed is a little bit freaky.
We can do like alternative, like with the movies and that. Like, what if you know from Zombie Island? What if the Werecats actually won and drained the gang?
Mm. Oh, one thing I want to see. There's one that they did on YouTube. They did a YouTube series. You know, in like Infinity War, when like Thanos snaps his fingers and like half of the Avengers dust away.
Yeah,
There was like that speculation. What if the other half like dusted instead and the other half survived? I think one thing that would be cool to experiment with that is I really want to see like what if the other costumes were brought to life in Monsters Unleashed. So like say presumably the ones that were at the front of the queue, they got turned real. Then the control panel got stolen by Shaggy and Scooby, and the adventure happens. Just if like, what if the costumes were stolen in reverse order? So like the order of the costumes were flipped, and so you could essentially maybe have like your spooky space kook, a Willow, the disc demon like coming to life instead of the 10,000 volt ghost. Like, what if the other half of the monsters came to life? I think that would be a really cool
the
episode.
s- the Spook Ghost one will probably be the most terrifying one. It's probably the most. I want to say it's my second terrifying episode. I want to say Night for Fright is No Delight. It's probably the worst, like, up there as creepy.
I want that initial plan for Frankenstein. Like that to me, I would love to see that actually happen.
Because there's infinite
Um,
possibilities with
Even
what if.
the creeper would be cool.
Oh, God, yeah, I forgot about the creeper.
Well, then I guess narratively, the creeper would maybe fit like a similar framing to, the zombie in that story, so maybe a little bit similar. But that, what if the other half of the monsters were brought to life? I think would be really cool in and of itself. And again, you could bring back so many cameos of people that are doing voiceover now. Like I know Seth Green, he's doing like the Marvel What If series. So to have him come back as Patrick I think would be really cool. There's a lot of other ones, like ones that like kind of wrongs that I'd like to see righted, but in a context where people won't be too mad about changing things or whatnot. I'd like to explore some type of reality where either Crystal and Amber stayed on Earth with Shaggy and Scooby, or maybe this would factor into one of yours. We could have Shaggy and Scooby leaving with Crystal and Amber. So then you've got an episode of them in space and an
In
episode of the
space.
gang. Maybe they're dealing with the events of what's the next one? Is it Cyber Chase?
Cyber chase, yeah.
Maybe it's yeah, so chronologically you have a cyber chase without Shaggy and Scooby and how differently that would have played out. I think again, both of those things tying into each other would have been cool.
Or you can also do the series as well. How would they end differently? Or which is Ghost? What if Ben Ravencroft never got sucked into the book?
Mm.
Or what if, he succeeded?
See, that's it, just like different framings, because that's what you can do with
Because you can
Scooby.
just change it around,
Yeah. It is kind of
instead of
limited
doing
as far as it's the impacts of a plan succeeding, Mystery Inc. failing versus Marvel, where it's, I mean, oh, I'm trying to think how you could frame that. You'd have to have a central hub, is what I'm thinking, like a high school. And we've got canonical people that they went to high school with, like Eric Stauffer from Cyberchase. Maybe like, what if Eric was on the team instead of Velma, and Eric was the brains of Mystery Inc. Like, there are different ways that they could do that, more than just what if this villain won or that villain won. But I think the implications of villains winning is maybe the way to go with Scooby. I can't think what others. Oh, maybe some 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. Like, what if that 13th monster plot was resolved back then? That would
yeah,
have
because
been
the
cool.
technically never did solve the 13th ghost.
No. And not even in that new movie as well. Oh, what if Return to Zombie Island was competent? I want to see that what if.
No, no, what if Return to Zombie Island was actually good?
Like, see, I would pay just for that. That could be its own DTV. Join us as we ponder the question, what
Oh,
if? And then we actually get a story.
I hate how I've lived growing up watching Zombie Island, only be disappointed 20 plus years later down the line with Return to Zombie Island.
We could even make a what if here. We could do what if Mark Marsh liked Scooby-Doo and
Oh,
the Loch Ness Monster.
oh God.
That's what we could do. We could animate that episode and
My,
we could
my
make a
top 10
review.
best Scooby-Doo movies tier list would change
Yeah, and it'd
from
be like
Return to
in the
Zombie
thumbnail,
Island,
like,
Loch
yeah.
Ness Monster. God.
That's what I'd want to see. Oh gosh, there's just so many. Like, what if the monsters were real? Just that one in general. Like, take a typical Scooby-Doo storyline where the monsters aren't real and just make that a supernatural story.
Oh,
You could
what
do
would
all
be a best
types of weird stuff.
episode?
Um,
Oh God. Because there have been some movies with real monsters. Um,
I'm thinking Scooby-Doo and a Mummy too, because that would get potentially quite freaky if the curse of
that
that, the
would because
coin,
every time I
was
watch that, I
real.
always get vibes of Ben Fraser, like
Mm.
him and his mummy movies. Never seen Scooby-Doo Mummy 2. I feel like this, they could have done a cameo of Ben Fraser coming in at the last moment, saving the day. But again, he had a shotgun and blew the mummy's face off. So maybe that won't happen in a Scooby-Doo movie, but he could still had a cameo.
What came first, the Brendan Fraser Mummy movie or the Scooby-Doo in Where's My Mummy? That movie was
Uh,
that 2005-ish? I'm
Brendan
probably
Fraser's came out first.
see that would have been a cool cameo.
I believe it did come out first. Let's type in.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
so
in
ridiculous.
1999, the Mummy came out.
Jeez, I was thinking it was like 2000s.
Damn.
I did not know it was that old.
Yeah, so especially well, the Mummy 2 minute it came out 2 years later.
Jeez. Yeah, that is weird. That is weird. Maybe it was inspired, but there's a lot of different avenues that I would like to take a potential what if. I mean, no one, like, not a lot of people would be a fan of this, but I'd like to see like some type of Scrappy in there somewhere. Like just how he would have impacted a particular story or
What if Scrappy was the MC of the Scooby-Doo universe?
or just the extended family, like Scooby-Doo in a handful of other episodes would have been nice to see.
What if we got rid of Scooby-Doo and it was just like, what if it was called Scrappy-Doo, Where Are You?
Scrappy-Doo, where are you? So you could, but they could do something playful with that, like reframe the original intro, but just change the lyrics, change the animation. Like I can see something in that as well.
Oh
That would be
God.
interesting.
And then it'd be like when it comes to the Scooby-Doo Scrappy-Doo show, it'd be called the Scrappy-Doo and Scooby-Doo show.
The problem is with a what if Scooby-Doo is, in my opinion, there isn't really a sense of canon as far as, say, for instance, you could frame Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo as what if one person made all the suits? You could frame Scooby-Doo and Crypto to what if Scooby-Doo was in the DC universe? So because the canon is so loose, basically you could frame every single DTVN episode as a what if. There's not like, say, a Star Wars or a Marvel as we know it, where it's we all know Tony Stark became Iron Man and then this happened and this is how he died, and or we all know Luke Skywalker's this main Jedi, so you can't really twist it that way as far as there isn't really, like, we know who Shaggy is theoretically. He's a skinny dude that likes to eat and his best friend Scooby, and that's kind of reset as the status quo for every DTV. It's not
Technically,
really
he
like, well,
did.
what if this changed or that changed, because every Scooby-Doo is pretty much a what if, really, you know.
Yeah, because Shaggy did have a girlfriend at one point.
Yeah, you got Googie and what was it, Reluctant Werewolf?
Yeah, he had Googie, which
Googie.
was
And then Googie just dipped.
yeah, Googie was yeah, I don't know what happened to her. Still to this day, I don't understand because other than that, like Shaggy had other girls that were interested in him, but I feel like the only official one was Googie, and that was back in the Scooby-Doo and all that werewolf. And to this day, like, we have no idea what happened to her. Maybe they are still together, just hidden behind the scenes. I have no idea. Still to this day, it's one of those weird things that's never been answered. Maybe there might be a sequel to it. We don't know.
Yeah, Googie. Or we could have like some epic reveal, like what if Googie was behind everything, like, and it's just different like flashbacks of, like, you can imagine the Wiki Tiki getting unmasked, the mummy getting unmasked, and Googie's just in the background, like, haha, I got away with it again.
You
Like
you know
it
in the
was
Scoob
Googie
movie
all
where Dick
along.
Dastardly's the policewoman and he peels off the mask.
It's just
Maybe it's Dick Dastardly all along, just in disguise.
it's like who's been messing up everything? It was Dastardly all along. Oh my gosh.
Probably my best scene in the Scoob movie was Dick Dastardly.
Oh, you know
Esp-
what though? And Jason
It was
Isaacs was
just
so good in that role.
and especially the face reveal of the Mission Impossible pulling his face and that, and then Fred's confused face.
Like, and he
Yeah, but
was
he's a re
simping. He
yeah,
was
because
simping.
I love how Dick Dastardly was actually trying to compliment himself. Oh yeah, but it's kind of like a good mustache. They berated him to the point where they revealed himself.
See,
Probably that's the only
Scoob
good bit
would
I
be a
liked.
good what if. Because there's some stuff you could do with that. Oh God, but how could you frame it though? Like, what? Oh, that's one thing I'd like to say. I don't. This is just me wanting to make the movie more Scooby. But just what if Simon Cowell wasn't in it, and then you could have a story where the whole gang was taken on the Falcon Fury and stuff like that, as opposed to just
Uh,
splitting them up.
That'd be quite good actually.
Because then there could have been stuff to do. Like you could have had Velma with Dynamo and Dee Dee doing like all the science stuff. Daphne could potentially have started to therapize the young Blue Falcon about like his parental issues and confidence. She's meant to be the empath, and pretty much Shaggy and Scooby's story would stay the same. For all people might not like that, I guess it is just something for them to do. But yeah, I think there is a version of that where the whole gang could have gone on the Falcon Fury and it would have been fine. It still wouldn't have been like a mystery as such. But I think the gang sticking together is generally the better option.
Or they instead of the Blue Falcon, they could have done with Batman.
The Batman. I wonder what Batman would it be Pattinson? Who would it be? Ben
Oh, I don't know.
Affleck?
Oh,
Because Warner Brothers like their cinematics, but I don't think they can settle on who Batman is. Honestly, though, at that time you could have had Kevin Conroy come in and do the
I'd
voice. That
probably
would have
say
been good.
Robert Patterson's Batman would be best ideal
Because he's
because of the fight
vengeance.
scenes. Yeah, because he's Avengers. You wouldn't need really need much dialogue. Just send him down, beat up dastardly with his
Vengeance.
fists. I'm Vengeance. I got that part. Throughout the movie, I was thinking, God, imagine if he said, "I'm Batman.
Oh, see, that would be cool, but
I'm
it isn't
Vengeance.
possible, like
I'm Batman."
politically. But it was what if Warner Brothers didn't own DC but owned Marvel, which obviously they wouldn't do, they wouldn't have the rights for. But I think it would have been cool if Scooby-Doo had had a history of crossing over with Marvel heroes, as opposed to DC heroes. I just think it would have been a like, and just imagine like the alternate reality, even in our world, if we could talk about the time that Scooby-Doo crossed over with the original Spider-Man animated series, or what if Scooby-Doo had a habit of bumping into Iron Man? I think that would have been really cool and interesting.
A Marvel and Scooby-Doo crossover.
But I do think, actually, for all, I'm more of a Marvel guy than a DC guy. I think the world of DC probably does fit Scooby-Doo a bit more. Because you got the detective in Batman, and theoretically the gang are detectives. Whereas what detective do you have in the Marvel universe? You got Jessica Jones. What other
It,
heroes do detective? I guess Black Widow, but that's more espionage than.
it's mostly just Shield agents with Coulson
Ooh,
and all that.
oh
They're
no, see
they're
that would
they're
have been
the only
cool.
detectives.
I would
There was
want a
just use brute
Scooby-Doo
force.
Agents of Shield crossover. Oh yes, that's what I would see. That to me would be a fangasm moment. Fitz and Simmons with Velma.
So you can do a
No.
full Agent of Shield with a episode crossover.
The other issue is I'd want it to be pre like Hydra reveal, because I want to see like Himbo Ward and Himbo Fred like having some type of like hunk off or something. Like I'd want it to be like set in like season one Agents of Shield.
Because I think that'd be a good possibility, but we know it would never happen because of Warner Bros. And Marvel do not mix.
No, unless it was a Lego game. Or can that still not happen? Because Lego, they have rights to both Scooby and also
They do, but they can't do crossover games.
oh God, can they?
That's
That's
that's the only
awful.
thing.
I would have thought that would have been good.
Even though there hasn't been any new Lego games out recently.
No, the last one I saw, and this was a while ago, was your was it they did like a Star Wars saga? I don't know when that was, but they did
Yeah,
something Star
the
Wars.
Skywalk
Oh yeah,
Walker
Sky.
saga, but that's pretty much about it. There's not really a lot. I don't know. They don't really do a lot of Lego games anymore, which is a shame because I do like the Lego games. Don't get me wrong, I do like playing them. It's because you can't die, so it's a lot less stress taken out of it.
It's good co-op as well. I used to love the Lego Indiana Jones games. And Lego Batman, I was more familiar at one point with Lego Batman because of the games than like Batman movies and Batman shows.
Yeah,
I also like Lego Marvel.
because the Lego Harry Potter ones I'm playing at the moment. but it feels so simple because I'm rushing through it, and I'm thinking it doesn't feel as what I remember it as a kid playing on the 360. I play it now, though. This is like so easy how I remember it.
Mm.
But then I think the only Lego game where I spent a lot of time 100% was the Lego movie. And because I like the dance move bit with that, everything is awesome. I played it so much to get the perfect score to get the achievement, the point where I kept singing the song. I was like, man,
Everything is
everything is
awesome.
awesome. And I was like, just so I got back to buttons correctly. You know, so I was singing for ages and I think, yes, got the high score, got the achievement. Yes, I'm done with the game.
Dude, that factors into what I was saying though about every Scooby theoretically being a what if. Because even then, you could say, what if Scooby-Doo was in the Lego universe? We've got two Lego Scooby-Doo movies. What if Scooby-Doo were puppets? We've got, the puppet movie. It's like there's so little Scooby-Doo canon that you would need to say bank on your audience knowing like a Cyber Chase or knowing a Zombie Island, which fair enough, a lot of people do know Zombie Island. But other than that, you're just making choices like what if Velma wasn't smart, like something that is of the character, you know, but different. It's like literally the closest that we've got to that is that Velma series. And it's like, well, what if the Scooby-Doo gang weren't likable and they were all goofies in high school? Like that's the closest we've got to a what if. But there's a lot that they could do.
They could probably do it, but I guess they'll probably get like 5 episodes maximum. There's not
Mm.
really a lot of what if scenarios that you can do.
No, they can't ponder the question, which is a shame. It is a shame, but I think it is a concept that I do want to see played out. This is why I really want a coherent series that's like Mystery Incorporated, except there isn't that mandate of we only want to do 2 seasons or 3 seasons. I just kind of want some type of thing where they just see a show out and there's an established canon within that show and storylines. Like, I just don't see how that can't happen. Because I know a lot of people argue against the season 3 of Mystery Incorporated because the ending was the ending of that story. But it's like, think about every single TV show that's lasted seasons. They all have endings to stories, but then new chapters begin, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, one big bad per season, pretty much. Or even Doctor Who, you've got the whole Tennant era, and then that's resolved. Then there's the Crack in the Wall era, that's resolved.
Yeah.
And then they're just different
It's
eras of different
different now
shows.
because it was the 2005 to 2024 one with David Tennant leaving, and now the new Doctor is starting the new era. So it's technically called Doctor Who Season 1 again, which
Oh
confuses a lot
God,
of people. Yes,
yeah,
so
because
now
now
it's
there's
like a
like
new
three
era.
season
Now it's
ones.
like the 24 era to the
Because you've
current
got
one.
William Hartnell in 63, Christopher Eccleston 2005, and when are they starting? Is it with Ncuti Gatwa's first
It
season or is it with the
starts,
specials?
I think it's May or June time
Hey,
is when
so
it starts.
three season ones.
Yeah, so it's very confusing because now it's just like, right, there's another season one. And if people weren't watching Doctor Who, they would class it as a reboot, but it's not a reboot. It's still a continuation of the Doctor Who
They said they
lineage.
wanted to make a reboot type thing, but then they
That's what they've done
didn't.
with by
'Cause it,
Degeneration. I think that was the whole reboot, was sticking in the same story but fixing many mistakes in the last seasons. But I think David Tennant coming back was a really good touch
oh yeah. I'm
because
sure we accidentally spoiled that for Jim Krieg. I'm sure that was like the cherry on. No, was that? No, 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 no. Someone can go back and rewatch it. Like, I'm sure we spoiled that for him by accident. I'll have to double check.
we
If
probably did.
Because I think you just finished criticizing Return to Zombie Island, and then we thought that everything was resolved. And then we did speak about, yes, okay, we did definitely speak about Doctor Who because he wrote that crossover that would have been a Children in Need one. And then I think you said at the end, oh well, we've got David Tennant coming back. And it was either the week that the Power of the Doctor aired, and he said, oh, I've not seen it yet, no spoilers. I'm gonna have to try and clip that and find that. I'm sure And I feel really bad now, but I'm sure
Yeah,
we
we had
spoiled
David
her.
Tennant, so screw you.
That's ridiculous.
I will say this though, David Tennant coming back did actually save the franchise.
I mean, view-wise.
View wise, did really well. If I
And
was
even I
there thinking,
think the Church on Ruby Road was the first time that that Doctor Who was the number one scripted drama.
yeah, it was really good.
No matter what Clownfish TV says, it was the number one scripted drama. So it's all good. It's all good. And that's what I want for Scooby-Doo, like a long-standing series. It doesn't need to go on for years and years, but I think 5 seasons, 4 or 5 seasons would be a sweet spot for me, just to actually establish a world that we can play around with a bit for a what if scenario.
But the thing is,
Yeah,
collecting
that'd be
Doctor
good.
Who now is like there's so many. There's a 63 hour one. You've got to collect, and those ones are really hard now because you don't collect them when they come out. You got to buy the individual DVD ones.
Oh
It's like,
God, yeah.
and I want to get them when they're on 4K, so at least then it looks really nice.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. They're coming out with some that are like in HMV, but I don't know quite what they are. But yeah, I guess that does it for this what if episode. Comment down below if people can think about what if Scooby-Doo scenarios you'd want to see, or even if a what if Scooby-Doo can work. Because I'm just basing this off my assumption and I guess my prejudice that there is no Scooby-Doo canon. But I know that there is some people with a school of thought that the Scooby-Doo timeline does fit nice and linear, going from, say, potentially a pup named Scooby-Doo to Scooby Apocalypse. Like I know that there are those type of people out there, and for all I'm not one of them. I mean, if you are of that mindset, comment down below how you would feel or what if would play out differently. But yeah, Mark, where can people
There's going to
find
be a lot
you?
of suggestions in the comments
I hope so.
because it's like it's an infinite possibility.
I hope so. But where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me over on my YouTube channel at Mark Marsh or over on social media with Twitter at Luigi, Instagram Mark Marsh 94, and also twitch.tv at Luigi, where I'll be streaming soon.
You've just been a Luigi. So I apologize for my coughing throughout the episode. I am dying, but it's okay. We'll all live ultimately. You can find all of my links in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you do want to see more, then please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.